Ever get the feeling?
Like sometimes.
We're just surrounded by all this hidden talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like the folks behind the scenes that actually make everything work.
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive is all about celebrating one of those legends.
You might not know her by name.
But you definitely heard her. Kaye, the queen of bass.
And when we say queen, we're talking over 10,000 recording sessions.
Hits spanning from the Beach Boys to Frank Sinatra.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Carol's bass lines.
They're practically woven into the fabric of American music.
Exactly.
So our mission today, who is Kaye?
How did she rise to the top in like a notoriously competitive industry?
And what can her story teach us about expertise?
Especially in those fields where the best work often goes unseen.
It's a fascinating journey.
And it's not like your typical overnight success story.
Okay.
Carol's musical roots run deep.
Starting with jazz guitar.
In the heart of 1950s Los Angeles.
Oh, I love this part.
This wasn't just like some hobby, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
She was practically a prodigy.
Playing in LA jazz clubs as a teenager.
Wow.
Even toured with the Henry Bus Orchestra.
Can you imagine that scene?
Smoky clubs.
The energy of live improvisation.
The perfect training ground, really.
Even if she didn't know it at the time.
Right.
It's where she honed her ear, her timing.
Developed those chops that would later make her a studio legend.
Okay, so how does jazz guitar in smoky clubs
lead to becoming one of the most recorded bassists, like, ever?
There's got to be a story there.
Oh, there is.
And it involves a good dose of serendipity.
Okay.
Picture this. 1963, Capitol Records.
A name synonymous with, like, the music industry's golden age, right?
Right.
A bass player is a no-show for a session.
Oh, no.
And Carol, already a respected guitarist in those studios,
Gets asked to step in.
wait, hold up.
They just handed her a bass and were like, go for it.
Pretty much.
No pressure or anything.
And this is where years of playing, of understanding music on a deeper level.
It paid off.
Carol not only nailed the session,
But by her own account, she connected with the bass in a way she hadn't with the guitar. She found it more inventive, more dynamic.
talk about a right place, right time, hidden talent kind of moment.
It makes you wonder.
How many times we, like, almost stumble onto our true callings?
But don't recognize the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And for Carol, this was just the beginning.
She soon became a core member of a group
Okay,
shrouded in legend, the Wrecking Crew.
these almost mythical figures in the music world.
Okay, for those of us who aren't music history buffs.
Break down, who was the Wrecking Crew?
And why do they matter?
Imagine the best session musicians in LA.
The absolute cream of the crop, right?
Okay.
Drummers, bassists, guitarists, keyboardists.
All masters of their craft.
They were the unsung heroes behind countless hits in the 60s and 70s.
Really?
The driving force on tracks for everyone from Frank Sinatra and Simon and Garfunkel to the Supremes.
Wow.
If you loved music from that era.
Chances are you've heard the Wrecking Crew.
And they called them the Wrecking Crew because...
There are a few stories about how the name came about.
But it's said to be a playful jab.
At the older generation of studio musicians,
I worried these young guns.
with their new sounds and styles, were going to wreck the music industry.
Of course, they ended up defining it in many ways.
It's kind of like a musical Ocean's 11.
Right. This elite group coming together to create something incredible.
Yeah,
Only instead of robbing casinos, they're crafting the soundtrack of a generation.
exactly.
And what's even more remarkable...
Carol was the sole female instrumentalist in this group.
Exactly.
Imagine walking into that room.
Often the only woman present.
Right.
And not just holding your own.
But becoming an indispensable part of the sound.
It speaks volumes about her talent.
And her tenacity.
You know, what fascinates me is how these sessions...
They were this melting pot of personalities, all these huge egos.
Yeah.
Yet they had to work together
It
seamlessly.
must have been electric.
And the stories from those days paint a picture of intense, demanding sessions.
But also a lot of fun collaboration.
This shared passion for creating something special.
It's making you want to hop in a time machine.
Just to soak in that creative energy.
So let's talk about some of the specific tracks where Carol's bass lines really shine.
I bet most people, even if they don't know her name,
Have grooved to her work without realizing it.
absolutely. Let's take La Bamba, for example.
Everyone and their abuela knows that tune.
But most wouldn't realize that's Carol on acoustic rhythm guitar. Or These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra.
Pure attitude.
Oh yeah,
And it's Carol laying down that driving bass line.
this time on electric bass.
alongside Chuck Berghofer on the double bass.
See, these are the aha moments I live for.
It's like discovering your favorite author.
Also, Ghost wrote a bunch of other bestsellers.
The talent was there all along.
Precisely.
And that's why Carol's story is so important.
Makes us think about all the unseen talent.
The individuals who pour their expertise into things we love.
Right.
Without always getting the spotlight.
Okay, but we can't talk about Carol Kaye.
Without mentioning her work with the Beach Boys.
Specifically on the iconic Pet Sounds album.
Knowing she was part of those sessions.
Just blows my mind.
Pet Sounds is a perfect example
of both the Wrecking Crew's magic.
And Carol's unique contributions.
Because those sessions were legendary, right?
I've heard stories about Brian Wilson's almost obsessive creative vision.
How he pushed everyone to their limits.
To achieve this groundbreaking sound.
It's true. Pet Sounds.
It wasn't just another pop album.
Brian Wilson was experimenting, blending genres, using unconventional instruments.
And he pushed the Wrecking Crew hard, demanding take after take.
Often working late into the night.
I can only imagine the focus.
And the stamina it took to keep up with that kind of creative intensity.
And this is where Carol's musicianship really shines through.
She wasn't just a bassist.
She was a problem solver.
A collaborator.
Brian Wilson would give her these complex bass lines.
Sometimes written in a way that wasn't physically possible to play on a standard bass.
No way. So what did she do?
She adapted.
She'd find ways to rearrange the notes, make them work.
Always keeping the feel and the groove of the song intact.
It's a testament to her deep understanding of music theory.
But also that ability to think on her feet.
Right.
To be adaptable in those high-pressure situations.
That's the mark of a true professional.
Isn't it? Not just nailing the notes, but understanding the heart of the music.
And speaking of iconic bass lines...
we can't forget about Wichita Lineman by Glenn Campbell.
Oh, come on.
That haunting, unforgettable intro.
That was Carol's creation.
Are you serious?
It wasn't even in the original sheet music.
She just came up with that on the spot. Talk about making your mark on a song.
You know what always impresses me is how Carol's bass lines.
They're so melodic, so present in the mix. It's not just about keeping the rhythm.
She's almost like another lead instrument.
Exactly. And that was somewhat revolutionary at the time.
Most bassists were relegated to the background.
Just holding down the root note.
Right.
But Carol...
she wasn't afraid to explore the upper register of the bass.
To add those walking bass lines.
Those little flourishes that give the music so much character.
Okay, for those of us who don't speak musician.
What does upper register actually mean?
Paint us a picture.
Imagine a piano keyboard.
The upper register is where the higher notes live.
The ones that are brighter, more melodic.
Okay.
Carol's willingness to use those higher notes on the bass.
They were playing this unique voice, a signature sound.
And then there's that signature muted sound.
It's subtle.
But it adds so much warmth and depth to her playing.
I read that she achieved that using a piece of felt.
It's true.
She'd place a piece of felt on the strings near the bridge of the bass.
And it would dampen the vibrations.
Creating that warmer, rounder tone.
It's a testament to her ingenuity.
Right.
Her willingness to experiment.
So we've got this incredible run of pop hits.
But then her career takes another interesting turn, right?
Tell me about Carol Kaye, soundtrack queen.
This is where we see her incredible adaptability in action.
By the late 60s, the music scene was changing.
Rock bands were starting to play their own instruments.
Looking for that raw, authentic sound.
So the demand for session players began to shift.
That makes sense.
Bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
They weren't looking for a polished studio sound.
They were all about capturing the energy of their live performances.
Exactly.
But this is where Carol's story shows us the power of being able to evolve.
To embrace new challenges.
Right.
She transitioned seamlessly from pop sessions to film and television soundtracks.
Really?
Becoming a go-to bassist for legendary composers like Quincy Jones and Lalo Schifrin.
Okay, now we're talking next level iconic. Mission Impossible, MASH, The Streets of San Francisco.
These themes that are practically woven into our cultural DNA.
It's music that can just transport you back to a specific time and place.
In an instant.
And it's a testament to Carol's versatility as a musician.
She wasn't confined to one genre or style.
She could bring her signature sound to anything.
From a spy thriller to a comedic drama.
But it wasn't just about her playing.
It was about understanding the nuances of how music enhances storytelling.
I was just thinking that.
Working on soundtracks must be so different from those high-pressure pop sessions.
It's a whole different kind of creative muscle, right?
Absolutely.
With soundtracks.
You're not just supporting a song, you're creating atmosphere.
Building tension, adding emotional depth to scenes.
It requires a deep understanding of pacing.
of how to create these musical cues that heighten the impact.
Of what's happening on screen.
Right. And you have to work closely with the director and the composer.
Understand their vision for the film.
It's almost like you're scoring a movie in real time.
Exactly.
And you often have to work quickly.
Coming up with ideas on the spot, adapting to last-minute changes.
It requires a different kind of flexibility and creativity.
You know, what strikes me is how this part of Carol's career, her soundtrack work,
often gets overshadowed by her pop hits.
But when you think about the reach of those films and TV shows,
the way they've become part of our collective memory,
it's equally impressive, if not more so.
I agree.
It's a testament to the power of music to transcend genres.
To connect with us on a deeper level.
And speaking of passing on knowledge,
it's like she had this whole other career.
This whole other legacy that often gets overlooked.
Right.
But it makes you wonder.
Did Carol Kaye ever set out to be a legend?
Or was she just focused on being really, really good at what she did?
That's a great question.
And it kind of speaks to something Carol herself has said.
That she never really expected this kind of longevity. That she thought pop music, by its very nature, was fleeting. Really? Can you imagine? These songs that we now consider classics,
right?
She thought they might just fade away.
That's wild.
It's wild to think about how different the world was back then.
I know.
They were creating the soundtrack to the moment.
Not necessarily thinking about how it would resonate decades later.
Exactly.
And that makes Carol's story even more remarkable.
It's a testament to that dedication to craft.
To pouring your all into something, even if you think it's just a job.
Because sometimes those just a job moments
become the foundations of something truly extraordinary.
It's a good reminder for all of us, no matter what we do.
That unseen effort.
That dedication to getting it right. It matters.
Absolutely.
And for Carol, it wasn't just about the playing.
Right.
Remember her book, How to Play the Electric Bass?
Yeah.
It became like a Bible for aspiring bassists.
And she was known for encouraging her students,
especially women, to break into what was then
a very male-dominated field.
That mentorship aspect is so important.
Right. She wasn't guarding the secrets of her success.
She was sharing them, paving the way for others.
Exactly.
And when you look at some of the praise that she's received over the years,
it's clear that her impact goes way beyond just the hit records.
Quincy Jones, a man who's worked with the absolute best, called her one of the best bassists in the world.
Wow.
Male or female.
Dr. John praised her feel, her groove.
And even Paul McCartney has said that her bass lines on Pet Sounds were a direct inspiration for his playing on Street Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Paul McCartney.
Talk about influence.
Taking cues from Carol Kaye. That's mind-blowing.
And I love that despite being surrounded by these huge personalities.
These musical titans, it never went to her head.
From everything I've read.
She was known for her professionalism.
Her no-nonsense approach.
She let her talent speak for itself.
Which is, in a way,
its own form of quiet brilliance, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Her story reminds us that true expertise,
that dedication to craft,
it has a power all its own.
It's about pushing boundaries, adapting to change,
and leaving an impact that goes beyond any single song
or any single performance.
And Carol Kaye's story doesn't end there.
She continued to play and record well into the 21st century,
wow.
Even collaborating with Fender.
To design a lighter bass?
That would be easier on her back, allowing her to keep performing comfortably.
I love that detail.
It speaks to her enduring passion for music.
Her willingness to innovate, to find solutions.
Even late in her career.
What an inspiration.
It really is.
Carol Kaye's journey reminds us to embrace those aha moments.
Those unexpected opportunities where our hidden talents
can truly shine.
And to remember
that the next time we hear an amazing bass line,
it just might be Carol Kaye.
Quietly shaping the soundtrack of our lives.
Now, wouldn't that be a fantastic thought to carry with you?
It certainly would.
And on that note, we'll leave you to dive back into the world.
Hopefully with a newfound appreciation.
For the hidden talents that make life so rich and surprising.
Until next time.